This video is sponsored by MOFT. Everyone's saying the iPad could replace my laptop, and so I tried. I got the Pro, the Pencil, the Magic Keyboard, took it to cafes, to meetings. I even tried editing videos on this, and every time I still went back to my Mac. So I stopped forcing it, and that's when the iPad became useful. My iPad didn't replace my laptop, and honestly, that's the point. Here's how I actually use it in real life for planning, creative work, and recharging. Let's have some fun. First up, daily planning. I start most of my mornings with Notion on my Mac and calendar on my iPad, so I can check on the iPad who I'm meeting, what I'm filming, and if there's any chance I get to climb this week. And when I do that, I usually have the iPad propped up next to my Mac as a second display. I love the dual screen mode. It's super clean, super minimal, and that brings me to something I've been testing lately, and also happens to be the sponsor of today's video, our dear friends at MOFT, who happens to make one of the most practical iPad cases that I've tested so far. This right here is MOFT Dynamic Folio case. When I'm not using it, it folds completely flat in my bag, but when I pop it open, it kind of origamis itself to a setup that just floats my iPad just right. 3 inches up and 60 degrees tilt. No neck strain whatsoever. And when I'm working outside the studio at my favorite cafe, this basically becomes my second screen. If a friend is sitting right across me and I want to show them a doodle or an idea, I literally just flip the folio around, super effortless. This is called creation mode. It's perfect for sketching, journaling, and editing my bag blog travel photos in Lightroom. There's even a leg mount angle, which sounded a little bit silly at first until I tried watching a show on my couch. No more awkward balancing acts, no flopping around. It actually stays in place. And what I love is how intuitive this whole design is. The full lines and the matching of icons just make it super easy to snap it into the right angles. And can we just talk about the magnets? Everything is magnetized. Even this Apple Pencil storage, which just clicks into place. So this whole setup is very minimal, very clean. And if you need more options, they hurt you. There's also a dual screen mode which lets you set up your iPhone like this, so I can throw on a Pomodoro timer and get into focus mode quickly. Or I can use it to follow my favorite YouTube tutorial while taking notes. And we also have the reading mode, so we can use the iPad vertically to read our ebooks, our PDFs, our Kindle. Interested in testing this? Links are below in the description box. Or you can scan this code right here because sponsor integrations are supposed to be useful and not annoying. But hey, this video isn't just about the pretty setups. Let's talk about the second way I use my iPad. I also use my iPad as a space to dump ideas. I've got a folder in notes called the Daily Pad where I just scribble whenever I'm overwhelmed. Sometimes ideas just flow better when I'm using my pencil and a pad. I also sketch rough ideas, jot down thoughts. I also love to screenshot inspos from Pinterest and scribble all over them and then toss them into Notion when it all makes sense. It's just my whole system. And I'm very aware that I'm making this expensive iPad sound like a glorified $1,500 notebook. Yes, I know. But when I don't have my paper and pen with me, this works and it's fast. It helps my brain just connect all the dots, especially when I'm feeling very, very stuck creatively. Also, everything I need is in the cloud. It is probably a bit dangerous to be announcing this to you guys, but one of the best things I did is to cloudify all my important documents into Drive, into Notion, into files, so I can access all of my important docs, whether I'm on my iPad, my Mac, or my phone. It's just been a game changer for staying organized on the go. Whether I'm at my favorite cafe or traveling, I don't need my 7 hard drives to work. And that means if I'm meeting a client about a project, I can literally just pull up documents on my media kit or my mood boards right there and there. It's just amazing. Okay, Lightroom. This is probably one of my favorite apps on the iPad because editing photos with the Apple Pencil just feels so much more tactile, so much more intuitive than a laptop. It's especially great when I want to break out of work mode and do something a bit more free, a bit more creative, a bit less keyboard D. I just feel less stuck when I change up my environment with the iPad. And when I'm done with work and just need to reset, the iPad is one of my favorite tools for decompressing. First, we have Day 1, which is basically my journal app. I also love watching shows on this. I also love to use Procreate to just doodle around, just as a way for my brain to just shut down a little bit. I don't use TikTok or Instagram here because it's just too much stimulation. To me, the iPad needs to be this minimal digital granny, something that helps me slow down my day. I did try gaming, didn't stick, but journaling and watching Mando, yes. Always yes, especially on flights when I want to finish up a few episodes before landing. And that's why I love this. It gives me the space not just to be productive, but to just breathe, to chill, to daydream, to just watch something, to journal without getting distracted by the 47 untouched Chrome tabs. So I get this question a lot, is the iPad worth it? Well, I guess it depends. And yes, I know it's very annoying when people say that. If I were back in uni studying psychology, I would have loved this thing because I used to print out my notes just so that I can highlight. But with the iPad, I could have done all of that digitally. No need to print, no need to scan. Everything's just synced and very, very searchable. And that's why I think this iPad is just amazing for students, planners, and people who just like to be a little bit more hands-on, but still want everything organized and digital. That said, I don't think everyone needs to go full iPad Pro. I'm using this $1,500 setup. It's great, especially if you love tech and nerd out about stuff like ProMotion. But if you're on a budget or not doing any heavy creative work, animation, the iPad Air is honestly more than enough. It's half the price and handles 99% of what I do on this. There are many videos out there about turning your iPad into your main device, and this just isn't one of them. This is the one for the rest of us, the ones who are using the iPad as a companion and not a replacement. And when we treat it that way, it actually becomes useful and not frustrating. But if you're still wondering if the newest and greatest iPad Pro is worth it, I made a whole video right here. Spoilers, it's not what you think. Thank you for watching. Stay minty and cheery. Goodbye!